How are you looking, you guys? Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, we ready? We good? He said he's in worse traffic than usual. I'm going to move some stuff around. All right. Okay. Good to see everybody here tonight. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd is called to order at 7:05 p.m. Madam Clerk, may I please have, oh no, we're going to do silent meditation and pledge of allegiance. Then we'll do the roll call. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May I please have roll call?
Roll call. Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perella. Here. Councilperson Erbaum.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Martin.
Present.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Alou, Village Manager, and the Village Attorney is running late.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Next is approval of the agenda. I do have a couple of adjustments. I need to do an F. I'm going to move F1 down to F2, and we'll have a new F1, which will be the owner of the skate park, Jonathan Strauss. So the F1 now will be F2, and the new F1 will be the skate park, not presentation, but skate park address. Also, Madam Manager, I
Yes.
know that we wanted to also remove
H7.
H7
Yes.
parks. We're going to move H7. And I
Thank you.
believe that is it. Depending on when the attorney gets here, I'm going to try to get our visitors out, as quickly as possible. Okay, so I might be we're going to approve the agenda with everything that's going to be on here. We're going to go over and have on here, but because of the attorney, there may be certain things I might do first, just to kind of keep everything moving. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is? So moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Perella. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, moving on. Next is good and welfare. This part right here, for everybody who's going to be speaking and for every agenda item, you will get a chance to speak. For this part right here, though, this first good and welfare, if anybody wants to say anything about this particular agenda, anything on this particular agenda, you can come up and say your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to do so. But for each agenda item, though, you will have a chance to speak on each agenda item when we get there. Anybody for the first good and welfare? Seeing, hearing none, moving on. Okay, acknowledgement of visitors and or special presentations. The new F1, Jonathan Strauss, come up to the podium, say your name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Check. Everybody hears me? My name is Jonathan Strauss. I'm the owner of Skatebird Miami on 533 Northeast 83rd Street. My address is 725 92nd Street. I live in Surfside, but I brought the reason we go to work every day and the reason why we created the park is to give a great platform to kids from the El Portal community and from everywhere. So I have Leah Sweet here. Say hi, Leah.
Hello. My name is Leah Sweetchance. I'm 11 years old, and I live in El Portal my whole life. I live in 300 Northwest 87th Street, and Skatebird Miami has gave me a really good opportunity to skate and attend their camp. and I just want to thank them a lot. I love it because it has a lot of nice people and people that are willing to help you.
We get very busy all the time and trying to make the park survive and make the park a staple thing in the community. We're very proud of what we've done, and I haven't been able to come to address everybody, and I should do it more often. So in talking with the mayor a few weeks back, I wanted to do this and kind of always show the community that we have an open floor plan. We're here with our open arms, and we want the community to participate, want them to be a part of it. In the short year and 3 months that we've been open, or year and 4 months, we've accomplished a lot, and I wanted to give everybody that update. I mean, we opened a skate park that is now an iconic park. It's being talked about by pro skateboarders around the world. We've been visited by 6 of the top 20 pro skateboarders of all time. Tony Hawk hasn't been there yet, but I'm sure he will be there. We've created a great platform for families to come and partake in an awesome space. Yes, we also have some concerts and night events that have happened that are great also, because it provides an outlet for the underground artist, the one that's trying to make it in the world. And we've become a great venue for that kind of art and culture. We're very proud that the village pushed us towards it, and we're about to open a really cool food concept called Hangry Birds in the next couple of weeks here. We'll hopefully get our final inspections approved by Friday, and then we'll start training and creating more jobs in the community because of it. I'm proud that today we have 14 employees at Skatebird, and hopefully we can continue to grow and add that for the community. It's truly done what I envisioned it could do. It's stimulated and gotten more development to want to happen. Hopefully that development is responsible and they go along with what we have created, which is a great homegrown, organic type space that's accessible to everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Strauss. I really appreciate it. And Miss Sweet, you know, I know that you've been coming up very quickly, and you know she hit the ground running. Shantae, how you doing? Everybody knows Shantae Sweet, one of our longtime residents sitting here. And you know, I know you couldn't be more proud of your daughter, because when I go out there, I'm like, whoo, who is this? I see a professional skateboarder already. So it's really wonderful. And you know, El Portal, we're growing, and you know, we're developing. And we now, you know, individuals like yourself and your business, you know, put us on the national stage and give us national recognition. The ESPN has been there for championships already, and we look forward to a wonderful future and more development with the community, and we're going to have those things coming up that we spoke about. So,
Mr.
really
Mayor,
appreciate it. Yes,
if
I
I
was going to turn it to you guys.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. The council?
First of all, Leah, awesome. To be able to get up in front of all these people and speak so eloquently, I'm so proud of you, and I'm happy that you've been a member of El Portal your whole life. I hope you stay here for the rest of it. And also, I hosted my son's birthday party at Skatebird. Such an amazing venue. All of the parents that came commented on the food and how unique the atmosphere was and how great the staff was. So I think that's another great thing that you guys offer, and that we should be aware of. Like, it's a cool place to throw a birthday party and to hang out with your family on weekends.
Anybody else from the council? Yes, go ahead. Councilperson Black.
Gentleman at the back, I'd like him to come up and express your concerns as we discussed this as I was walking in the building. Either mic, okay.
Oh, he needs a mic.
Sure. Hello, my name is Scott, and I am on 8525 4th Avenue Road. And Basically, this is my first town council meeting that I've joined. I saw Anna outside, and I invited me to the meeting, basically. And my concern is basically just with regards to the noise that is created by Skatebird. I appreciate that it is a wonderful establishment that I think brings a lot to the community. As a skate park, the issue, I believe, is that for me, we have a lot of noise created from the skate park that is from the loud music events that are created by it. And so I love skateboarding, and I am very, I appreciate what the establishment brings to the community 100%, but my concern is with the noise that's created by the loud events that happen on specifically Thursday and Saturday nights, wherein we basically are kept up by the loud bass that is rattling our houses, my own house, and other people on that street. There's a lot of loud bass that is the problem, and then we also hear the MC who is on the microphone. We hear everything that they're saying. There's cursing going on, and loud things of that sort. So it is, I wasn't really prepared for this, to be honest, so I didn't really prepare exactly what I wanted to say, but I have an opportunity, I guess, to address this, and wanted to do so. I don't believe, I was hoping that maybe there would be some sort of solution being able to be figured out, such as, sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Such as potentially, some sort of sound proofing, et cetera. I know that there has been a few times where they've been asked to turn down the music, and it has certainly helped. So if there's some sort of way to measure the decibel level, et cetera, I think that would strongly help.
Yeah. So sound curtains is something that we've been looking into.
We're very cognizant of the noise and the issues that it creates. We are a full privately funded facility. We haven't received any public funding. So we need some of the events to happen in order to generate the revenue to offset the expenses that it was. However, we are looking into sound mitigation options. We're writing up a plan. We are also, we had a sound engineer walk through to see how we can keep all the sound on site rather than leave off site. We've made new requirements to events where we're only going to utilize the sound that we provide for events, so that way we have full control. I apologize for sometimes it has gotten out of hand, but we do work very closely with the police, and we do get it turned down as soon as it creates an issue. But we're doing things, and we want the community to be open and come talk to us more often. Come visit us. We're not the bad wolf in the corner of El Portal. We're a space that wants locals to succeed. That's why we've created. There's little retail pods that a local can create a new concept or do things like that, and we want the collaboration of the community. That's the primary thing for it. So by voicing your concerns, it helps us do better, and we are trying to figure out ways to be able to control the sound if we're going to keep with those events. But those events are not necessarily our priority. Our priority is to create a space that gives locals a platform to succeed.
Yeah, and we do look into measuring the decibels. Manager Alou knows that with the police department, and I get all the calls. Right, they call the mayor, and so he knows I call him right away, and we get the sound turned down right away once the sound goes that high. Can you say your address again for the record?
It's 8525 Northeast 4th Avenue Road.
Okay, 85th Okay.
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I could.
So I'm directly across
Directly,
from
directly
the
across
train
street. So
tracks.
City of Miami.
Yes.
City of
yeah.
Miami side.
No, El Portal.
He's in the annex.
Yeah, I'm directly across from the train tracks. There's the four houses, right? It's on the
Oh,
same-
on the okay, 85,
25,
25.
yes.
Okay, yes.
And so the issue, has been that when we have called and when we have tried to address it, it has not really been addressed properly, and the noise continues all night. And I had been in touch with the Fitzgerald.
The Officer Simmons,
and
Code officer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were going back and forth about, how to handle it, but nothing has really changed so far. I mean, I think this past Saturday night there may not have been an event, but it has happened pretty much every Thursday and Saturday for past several months. And there's really hasn't been any improvement when we have tried to follow the steps necessary to ask them to turn it down. Because they continue to say that there's a special events permit, and that the special events permit essentially allows them to do this. But of course, I don't believe that should allow to have the neighbors kept up at night and,
Special events permit allow a particular event to happen to a certain time, but that shouldn't. But it doesn't affect the decibels, though, the decibel levels of, which is what we
Mayor,
need
if I
to
could.
Right.
address and talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Who was?
Yes, may I? So I don't want to miss the opportunity, especially with this many residents in the room, to remind everyone, 3054 police is the non-emergency number. So 3054 police, for example, would be a fairly expedient way to lodge a noise complaint, right? That dispatch will notify El Portal officers, whoever's on duty. They'll go and make a call. So 305 police. It's been we spent a couple years even with the transit. We used to have a cell phone that people would call the officer on duty, and so now 305 police is the quickest way to reach El Portal officers on a non-emergency line. Having said that, so I'm chair of code enforcement, and so we will take that information, as far as, okay, number of noise complaints, we will use information like that to make determinations on changing ordinances and things to that effect. So, so I will say that, within the limit of the current ordinances, that might be what we're up against. And I managed restaurants for a long time, and if I had somebody leave who had a complaint and they did not tell me, a manager, about it, or one of my staff who did not relay it to me, then that person went out and told 12 people they had a horrible experience, right? So I've always encouraged people to lodge, to be perfectly honest, it's been nice to see a resurgence of residents coming in at other committee meetings to actually lodge complaints. It's a good sign that people are interested in participating with us up here on the council. So, having said that, I will say that the gentleman here who runs the property, I will say, this is not his first rodeo. Mm-hmm. He has done this in other places, and so I hope that through the dialogue that took place tonight, you can see that there's already steps being taken. There is an acknowledgement of that dichotomy, right? For me personally, I live just a few blocks, 89th, right over here. I hear the music. I also hear the Citadel, and I've been living in Miami 21 years, and now I have 4 kids, and I am not as close, but it's nice to hear live music. So I enjoy live music. I think it's critical to a successful society. So now if I was right next door to it, then it might be of a different opinion. But regardless, I am glad certainly to have Skatebird in the community. I think it's an important cultural event that's taking place in real time. So in that regard, it is a morphing thing. even as he's discussing. So hopefully, we can at least see that there is an opportunity for resolution, right? So
Sure.
there you go.
Can I respond quickly? Yeah. So I have called that the non-emergency number, as I've been instructed to do every single time, and unfortunately, it hasn't really come to any avail. I do also love live music. It's one of my favorite things, actually, but at the same time, it's different when that is keeping you up when you are trying to go to sleep and that sort of thing. And it's not necessarily, sometimes there's different types of music and not necessarily the type of music that I would want, and to hear constantly 2 days a week is a little bit hard. So what I guess was hoping is that there would be some sort of way to figure out, because it seems like what has happened, I know that there are things being discussed as far as ways to help this, and potential, I'm not sure what the sound curtains would entail and so forth. But it seems as though, since this has been happening for so long, that nothing is really, that it is being sort of treated in a way that is, until something happens to fix it, it's being allowed to continue without really any limitations on it, where it feels like that should be the opposite.
You've just outlined the primary struggle of code enforcement because, people see code enforcement paying attention to this, but then not to their issue, right? And so all I can say about that is I've been up here on the council for a little over 4 years now, and this is a large, unwieldy vehicle, right? And so you don't really want your local government or any other government to make sudden turns because it's not balanced that way. And so, so I guess what I'm trying to convey is that the complaints that have been lodged, I see emails, I'm copied on these issues, so I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, ignorant to the realities of the complaints that have come in, specifically regarding noise, specifically regarding Skatebird. Mm-hmm. And so to that, all I would say is that you're not going to see some lightning strike of change. It is going to be so for example, will we see you again at a future meeting? Mm-hmm. Who's to say, right? And so I will tell you that residents coming in and putting their voices in these meetings, there's only 5 of us, and there's not very many people who speak at each meeting. So any resident who ever wants to come in and speak at our meetings, you do have a captive audience of people who can make decisions. So in that regard, I'll just say, not just related to Skatebird and noise complaints, but a lot of our ordinances we're in that process. We have the most consistent code enforcement we've had in a very long time. And so also with that came a backlog, and we are just about up to date here, and we have a phenomenal officer, and so I believe even we have something like 30 cases going to magistration. So there was a 10-year backlog of kind of inactivity in code enforcement, and there's been a lot of change in the past few years, and with that so with that change has come different realities for us. One of those has been a beneficial one in that we have a much more consistent code enforcement than we've ever had before. So all I can say is that while you might not feel it, I assure you that that people are aware, paying attention, and taking action when possible. So.
What would you say is the next step in order to, if I wanted to continue to try to find a resolution for this, what would be the next step?
Well, you have an open invitation to go and visit with the business owner anytime he might be there. So that I would suggest would be the very next step. Beyond that, I would encourage you to come and speak with us again. And I will let you know that if you do make a noise complaint, the manager becomes aware of it, code enforcement, obviously, police department, myself as code enforcement chair, it is registered. It is registered. So I want to assure you of that.
Is there a certain decibel level that is, is there a way that is
if that
a current
discussion,
action
so
plan
if that discussion begins, it would be over a series of committee meetings, most likely in planning and zoning, regarding a change to a specific ordinance. In this case, would be noise ordinance. So something like that is possible. It honestly, from beginning to end, could take a year and a half. I mean, I'll just like
Councilperson?
and he's going to tell me not to put out any timelines.
No,
Okay.
not a bit.
All right.
I was just going to say, it could possibly go through planning and zoning, but it might also go through code enforcement committee.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, the current law is not, the current ordinance is not being broken, because from my understanding, I read the ordinance, it seemed to say that if it can be heard from 100 feet or a distance away from the property, that would be breaking the ordinance. So I guess my question is that accurate, that is the current ordinance?
You would certainly be welcome.
Because I measure the distance that I'm over 1,000 feet away, so it seems to be, quite further than what the ordinance states is permitted.
I don't want to drop into litigating
Sure.
this specifically here tonight. We do have a full agenda, but that could be the ordinance could be whatever the ordinance is now. My understanding is whenever asked to comply or notified that they're out of compliance, then they are doing everything within their power to be in compliance. And so from a code enforcement standpoint, I'll just tell you, it has not seemed that Skatebird has been adversarial. However, always, acknowledging of those sensitivities, right? And so now we're good. Now we're diving down a deep hole of property rights. And at the bottom of that hole is a parsing of what exactly does the ordinance say? Do we want a new ordinance? If we want a new ordinance, we can add, there are absolutely mechanisms to go down that path and change the ordinance. So, yep.
Just to layer on top of it, I do want to say that two things can't exist at the same time. This can be an amazing thing for the community, but still be a significant nuisance to some people based on their proximity. So I don't want you to think that we think in any way it's normal for Tuesdays and Thursdays for you to be bumping to music that you don't want to bump to at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, we understand that. But I do think the task at hand now is for you to let us know when that noise is impeding your ability to quietly enjoy your property. And I'm sure that Mr. Strauss is here and he has this business and he wants it to continue and be successful, and he'll hear those complaints. And then at the same time, if council is hearing that that's not the case, that he's not being responsive, and I'm sure there are mechanisms that we can explore to make sure that it's a situation where everybody can be happy in the village. Because I do love Skatebird, but I also think that you should be able to sleep. That's a really important part of life. So we hear you, and I received the emails too, and we'll kind of start thinking about, between code enforcement and planning and zoning, ways, and Skatebird, thinking about ways in which to make it such that everyone's just having a really good time with this being in the community, because I love Skatebird as well. And thank you again, Leah. You did an awesome job.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the council? Okay. Hearing none. Anybody else from the audience?
To the council, good evening, and to our villagers, good evening. My name is Marilyn Brooks, and I don't really want to speak on the skateboard and stuff, but what I need to really find out, has the ordinances changed? I'm here maybe a little too long, 39 years, and the ordinances were, you can have your parties, you can have whatever you want to have, but 11 o'clock, that's it. And as Mr. Eckerd, the former mayor, used to say, you're having your party. Your neighbor is not having a party. And I do agree with that. Now, if the ordinances has changed, I don't know. Anyway, that's not what I came up here for. I like to see the young people in the village of El Portal. I've been speaking about them for the past 25 to 30 years. I've been asking for us. I have no children here, no grandchildren, nobody. But all the children of El Portal are my children. I've been asking for the village to have a library for our kids. We need a library for our kids. You know, they went about putting on bird names and all these things. I don't find that necessary. We never know. One of the kids that we're preparing for today can be the mayor of El Portal, can be the president of the United States. Let's think about them, and let's try and do something for them. We need, and I'm still going to say it again, we need a library for the kids. Some of the kids, they're from single parents, okay? The parents is working 2 and 3 jobs. The kids could come to the library, do their homeworks, read books, and keep out of trouble. Let's be concerned about the next generation. Thank you.
Ma'am, we have free Wi-Fi at the park, and all those kids are welcome to come and study at the park, no problem.
So I was just going to say, first of all, if anybody else wants to come up, let's just stick to the first good and welfare is about agenda items only. The second good and welfare is about anything that you want to talk about at all, okay? Second of all, for a library, well, let me just say that Madam Clerk, Madam Manager, Vice Mayor Perella, Councilperson Martin Ward, we had the little library for a long time. Nobody ever came. And if anybody knows kids today would rather just go on their phone than to walk down the street to go to the library. So that's the second thing. The third thing is infrastructure-wise. You know, I mean, are we going to carve out part of Village Hall, Council Hall, and put a library, put like books against the wall right there? That's just not feasible, infrastructure-wise. I think the skate park, like you said, they have Wi-Fi there. I think that's a great solution, you know. But if anybody, you know, knows kids, you know, they whip out their phones in a second and look up anything they want to know, you know. And we do have that little library out there. And Madam Clerk, we change books for a couple years, right? Madam Clerk, you change the books all the time when you come in. And, you know, and it's not being used in that particular. And we do have, yes, that's right, because when we're here, it pulls up. And the book mobile comes every week. Madam Manager, when the book mobile comes and we walk out there, she's not here, but who lives on 88th Street, Deborah Tompkinson, is the only individual that goes to the book mobile. And Gigi. Okay? So just infrastructure-wise, the Village Hall is a small place, and you know, we do have news coming up in the future that, you know, we're expanding, Madam Manager. A lot of people don't know about that. But until then, just infrastructure-wise, we don't have that. Attorney Geller.
We had the bookmobile when I was in North Bay Village. It is a really wonderful thing. It's not so much as what Ms. Brooks said about a place for kids necessarily to do their homework, because it's there's not really tables. But as far as being able to get access to books, it's just a wonderful thing, and it would be great if we could find a way to make more people aware that it's coming and when it's here, because you can check a book out, and then a week later, if you're ready for another book or 2 books or whatever, bring them back, and it's right here. So maybe it needs better publicity, but it's a wonderful thing, the bookmobile.
That's great you said that, Attorney Geller, because I'm just looking and I said, you know what, Madam Manager, you know, my new flyer packets are going out starting tomorrow, you know, with the whole article about your home. Your award-winning home is going out in the flyer packet that I'm starting to put out tomorrow with some other information. Also, with Madam Manager, with our in our flyer packet, we're going to have the be proactive, not reactive. We're going to do sandbags and everything for hurricane preparation. We're going to start doing it now so that when hurricanes come, everybody has what they need already. That's a flyer going out. I had created be proactive, not reactive. I'll also put this in that flyer packet. Thank you very much, you guys. Anybody else for any agenda item? If you good, or you got? Well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Mrs. Sweet, thank you very much. Good to see you. I'll see you soon out there skating. All right, sister. Future pro right there. Anything else good and welfare for agenda items, everybody? Hearing, seeing none. Let's move right along. We were off for good and welfare. Let's move to F2. This is the Architecture Home Award. All right. If I can have the council come down to the podium right here with me, please. Madam Manager, you can come join me. So, y'all hear me? We good? We good? All right. So, El Portal has always been a special place. El Portal has always been a unique place, from, you know, our Tree City USA, our peacocks, from the blue street signs, you know, and all that stuff that we brought into play. El Portal is also unique as far as its homes, right? Like, there's other places where you go where you have new type of developments and things like that. You know, I'm not going to name any other municipalities because I don't want to diss nobody, you know what I'm saying? But when you go to other places, it's like cookie cutter, right? Everything looks the same. Every house looks the same. Every townhouse looks the same and things like that. You drive down El Portal, when you drive down El Portal, when you drive through El Portal, look, I'm mobile now, clerk. When you drive through El Portal, you see the difference. You see all the homes that are from the early 1900s, right? The 1910s, the 1920s, and you see like the different personalities of the homes. Well, we also have new homes that have personality. And not only do we have new homes that have personality, we have award-winning homes that have personality. Now's your time to come up. So, internationally, award-winning Best Architecture Single Residence, Best Residential Property in the United States of America. Hold on. That's just the second. She got 3 awards, you guys. The third was Best Residential Property in Florida. The name of the property, that's right. Go ahead and clap, that's right. All 3 awards. So not only winning internationally, not only winning for the best residential property in the United States of America, but also Florida, the Sunshine State. I mean, she racked up all the awards. She was like the person on Grammy night is like, come on back up, come on back up, come on back up. That's what she was doing. And we're so proud and we're so humble that this property is in the village of El Portal. This right here, it states, it says, Best Architecture Single Residence, International, USA, Florida. Best Residential Property, United States of America. Best Residential Property, Florida. You are valued and appreciated for your architectural expertise and as a resident of El Portal. We appreciate you. Thank you very, very much.
Totally honored. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Good evening, residents of El Portal. Well, what a journey. We found out about this amazing place, village of El Portal, about 4 or 5 years ago. and it was like love at first sight, peacocks walking on the streets and, seeing the Indian Mount with that amazing canopy of, magical trees. And I think there was a reason why, the Indians chose that spot. And, the ancient wisdom, they had incredible technologies for their time to pick the best livable areas on Earth. And they picked that area for a reason. So I totally second them, and I believe that El Portal really is a wonderful, wonderful place to live. Well, we had this vacant lot, and it had been vacant forever. So it was, a question of how this contemporary piece of architecture is going to fit into its context of El Portal. And I totally agree with the mayor. El Portal, village of El Portal, has a very unique, eclectic selection of architecture from different times. So in that way, actually, a contemporary architecture might as well fit into this, selection of architecture that we have in our village. And, the idea came from, again, combination of the ancient wisdom that is coming from Pompeii, it's Italy and Pompeii, where the houses are built in a courtyard style, and they are private from the outside and more sort of introvert, that the life goes inside their courtyard. And, the fact that the vacant lot had been vacant forever, like sort of had been waiting for us. So the idea came together, with the walls facing the 87th Street being covered with, creeping figs, which took us a while, with two little boys that, we had to settle first and then plant those figs, which are obviously a very, very important part of the architecture. So the idea was a house under the camouflage of the landscaping, those two walls, with the wood opening in the middle, which actually refers to the gate of El Portal, because, the village of El Portal used to have a gate back in the, I think, until 1948, if I'm not mistaken, and which was unfortunately damaged by one of the hurricanes and, had never been rebuilt. It's perhaps another project for our village. So the idea was to sort of replicate that gate, with the wooden gate, and sort of, offer a bridge from the past to the future of our village. And I'm proud that we've been able to accomplish that. And I would like to thank everyone for their support. Because obviously we got the whole support of the city at that time. And we sort of took a risk, which I think paid off. And when it was about the award program, I was talking to my husband, and I said, there's no way we can win an award like that. Because, there are so many important houses and, built with huge, huge budgets. How can we just compete with this? And he was like, no, you have to submit, you never know. Okay, submit. And then, after 2 months, I got the phone call and, saying you won awards. And at first I thought they made a mistake. I thought they would call me back and, say we made a terrible mistake, but, luckily this didn't happen. And there we are. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, Northeast Miami Court, my lovely neighbors. I love you. Thank you for coming and supporting us.
Well, neighbors, don't go anywhere because we have a couple other things for her, and we're going to take some pictures. We'll take some pictures also. But does anybody from the council might, maybe have something you want to say?
I'm Dr. Lightfoot Ward. Congratulations. My house was in the same situation back in 1951. I just learned yesterday, meaning sometime this year, I just learned that mine was the first house built in Glendale Manor, and I've been asked by the county to submit it as a historic property. So keep that in mind 50 years from now, okay? Because that's what it took. Congratulations to you. And Mr. Mayor, unless you kind of have somebody else in mind, it looks like it's going to go through, and we will have a historic property in our development area. I'm looking at my colleague here because she's in the same quadrant that we are. Yes? Yes, and it was just amazing that it's my house. I just asked the county, and they go, what? I said, yes, and they said, we're working it. So I'll let you know how it goes through, but thank you. Now you know what to look forward to, 50 years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that right here, Councilperson Martin and Manager Alou want to make a little presentation too.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let Manager.
Okay, I was not at all prepared for this, but on behalf of myself and Councilperson Martin, and actually all the members of the council and the El Portel family here. Yes, we want to just share a little something for your home, and hopefully you'll share some photos of that beautiful home. We'd love to see it, and congratulations. I know it was a big effort, and you went through two different councils to get it made, but it was well worth it, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. So that's some goodies for you to take back home and celebrate tonight. And I know that Vice Mayor Perrella and Councilperson Erbaum have something they want to say.
Just want to say congratulations, and we're glad to hear that your neighbors are the best part of the house. So neighbors are the best part of El Portal for sure. So.
Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it. What we're going to do, we're going to do the next item very, very quickly because we just have to pass it really quickly. It's the second reading. The reason why we're doing it like this, let me explain really quickly, is because after we pass the next item, we have to take a break anyway because we have to sign the papers, Madam Manager. So since we have to take a break anyway, let us do this next item very, very quickly. When we take the break, we can do all the pictures and we can do everything. So we're going to do that really, really quickly. So you guys don't go anywhere. It'll take like 5 minutes, I promise you. I hope. I'm looking at my council members, I hope. All right, you guys, we're going to do that, and then we're going to take pictures right after that. All right? All right, you guys. Next is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martin. Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, moving on. Next agenda item is the second reading, the ordinance for the bank loan renewal. Attorney Geller, if you want to read that into the record.
Yes, sir. Item H1, an ordinance for second reading on bank loan renewal. An ordinance of Village of El Portal, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a capital improvement refunding revenue note, Series 2023 of the issuer, in the principal amount of not to exceed $695,551.21 to refund the issuer's line of credit, providing that the note shall be payable from pledged revenues, authorizing and delegating to the mayor or village manager the sale of the note to the bank pursuant to the terms and conditions of a financing agreement with the bank, approving the execution and delivery of said financing agreement, providing for the rights, securities, and remedies for the owner of the note, making certain covenants and agreements in connection therewith, making such determinations as are required to afford such note bank-qualified status, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. I don't know, Madam Manager, if you want to chime in very quickly. This is our second reading.
And Mayor, our lenders, our counsel that is counsel for us as lender, as a borrower, excuse me, is also present. Linda Herring from Bryant Miller and Olive is in the house.
I was going to say that next. Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. Appreciate that. I'll just go to the council. Council, do you have any questions or comments for either of the individuals involved?
No, sir.
What about from the audience? Any residents, visitors have any questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution H1 or Ordinance H1?
So move.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. At this particular time, we need to sign those papers, you guys, and then we'll take some pictures of our award-winning home owners. I want to do a 10-minute recess. Do I have a motion to approve a 10-minute recess?
So move.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. 10-minute recess, you guys.
All right, what are we doing in 10 minutes? Taking pictures? The mayor's fault.
What? All right, you guys. Thank you very much. We're bringing everything back to order at 8:10 p.m. Okay, so we're moving on to the next item. Their home, the article that features their home and the awards and things like that, I'm putting in my next flyer packet that will be on your doorknob. So they'll be going out starting tomorrow. So you'll be able to read all about the home and see the inside and things like that. The next ordinance is H2.
Item H2, second reading on illicit discharge. An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida relating to illicit discharge to the stormwater system as provided herein, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Second reading, Mayor.
Thank you very much. This is a second reading. Does anybody have any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the audience, residents, visitors? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance H2?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Erbaum. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Perella. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call for that one, H2?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Yes. Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to H3, first reading, H3, dog restraint leash law.
Item H3, first reading dog restraint leash law, also known as Bobby's Law. An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida relating to signs and advertising, revising Chapter 4, Animals, and adopting a new section of Chapter 4 as provided herein, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. This came about, I'm going to ask Mr. Pulliam to come up to the podium while I'm saying this. But this came about, you guys, because there just all of a sudden started to be a, not all of a sudden, but there started to be an uptick of residents, owners walking their dogs with no leashes. And these dogs not only attacking people and causing damage, but also killing other animals. Killing pet cats and killing other animals. And so our current ordinance wasn't strong enough to be able to elicit the rules and elicit the penalties that we needed to stop this situation that seems to be over the past year and a half, couple of years, in an upswing, unfortunately, that is causing more harm to our residents for people that just will not put their dogs on the leash. Mr. Pulliam, say your name and address for the record.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Tom Pulliam. I live at 205 Northeast 86th Street. Good to see everyone tonight. This ordinance has been almost a year in the making. My spouse and I moved here from Los Angeles a year and a half ago, and within the first couple months of living here, off-leash dogs came into my yard when I was mowing the grass, attacked my cat, attacked myself, killed the cat. It turned out these were, dogs of a neighbor. Fortunately, one was wearing a tag. We were able to locate them, contact animal control, all of that stuff, which is great. Living in Sherwood Forest, there's a lot of people with dogs and enjoying the environment. Also, a lot of cats, really everywhere. And so, we do already have leash laws on the books and whatnot, but I guess it hasn't been strong enough because I still see people to this day who are not, they're on bicycles and their dog is just running free, or they have, are walking, right, with their dog with leash in hand or no leash at all. And so a year after Bobby's death, which was June 2022, we do now have a stronger ordinance, which I'm hopeful really for the enforcement of and just like general awareness for the safety of the community. Like a lot of kids, walk on that street going to the tot lot. There's people of all ages there. There's also, not even a dedicated sidewalk. It's a dangerous street already. So just beefing up our off-leash dog laws as we can as a small community definitely seems like a prudent and wise thing to do, especially considering the history, my personal history, being a victim of it, and I'm sure a lot of other people know stories that have happened as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pulliam, and thank you very much for coming to speak. You definitely aren't the only victim. There's been 4 other individuals where their animal ended up dying because of a dog off a leash, and there were 2 other individuals that were bitten by dogs off the leash where they had to go seek serious medical attention in the hospital. So, but thank you for representing all of them and yourself. You guys, this is the first reading. You guys know from first reading to second reading, little things can be adjusted and things like that. So we're looking for any large discrepancies you may have with this or questions or comments. Open it up to the council. Hearing none, open it up to the audience. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, this is first reading. It will have to come back for a second reading before it is official and made and the ordinance passes fully. So this will have to come back for another reading next month during the council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance H3? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a motion do I have a second? Second by, thank you very much. Second by Councilperson Erbaum. Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Moving on to resolution H4. Attorney
Yes,
Geller.
Mayor, Resolution H4, an intergovernmental agreement as to lowering the speed limit. A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, Miami-Dade County, authorizing the village manager to enter into an interlocal agreement with Miami-Dade County to obtain the county's approval, authorizing the village to install and maintain 25-mile-per-hour speed limit signs as outlined in the agreement, authorizing the village manager to execute the agreement, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. You guys, it's been a long time coming. Before I even get to that, just from what we just did, passing that first reading of the dog ordinance, I just want to thank the entire council for making El Portal safer, because there are a lot of little kids also that always play around, so having dogs off of leashes is a dangerous thing. But this right here, you guys, long time coming. Traffic study, people have asking for a very long time about speed bumps, about lowering speed limits and things like that. We did the traffic study, right? People have been waiting for that for decades. We did the traffic study, now we're moving on, and this is the first step, Madam Manager, if you want to take over.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nickerson, and thank you, council. It was a long time coming, but we finally got here. And the traffic study was completed by David Plummer and Associates. We have a representative here, Mr. Juan Espinosa, who worked on our project and worked hand in hand with me and the Public Works Director, Mohan Thampi, to execute a fantastic traffic study as well as a mobility study. And so Mr. Espinosa is here today to also just give you a quick presentation of what was found from those studies, and to give us a snapshot on some ideas that they are recommending. So if we could just give them a moment, unless you would prefer to go ahead and vote on the item, Mayor Nickerson, first and then allow it, or how would you like to do it?
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Juan Espinosa. I'm with the firm of David Plummer and Associates with 1750 Ponce de Leon in Coral Gable. With me tonight is my colleague, Nicole Sandoval, which is the project engineer working on this project. So we work on two different projects for the city. The first one was getting the speed limit on the residential street reduced to 25 miles per hour. In order to accomplish that, there are certain requirements that the state of Florida needs to be met in order to be able to reduce the speed limit. So we did a lot of data collection, 7-day traffic counts and speed data on 11 locations around the city. The average speed was actually 26.8, which makes it qualify to be able to reduce the speed limit to 25 miles per hour. Some of the advantages of reducing the speed limit is, of course, allow for pedestrians and bicyclists to feel more comfortable on the road, reduces the severity of crashes, reduces emission, less noise, and improve the health by allowing people now to be able to bike and walk. So that was the first study. That report was approved by Miami-Dade County. So the city is ready just to implement the process. The second study that we did was the Northeast 2nd Avenue Mobility Study. That was a grant provided by the TPO. The goal of that study was to improve the safety for all users of the road, improve pedestrian, bicycle, and transit facilities, increase livability, and encourage economic development. Some of the concern when we look at the corridor where there is no bike lanes, there was few pedestrian enhancement, and there was a lot of high speed on 2nd Avenue. Some of the solutions that we came up was doing a road diet, that's basically reducing the number of lanes, providing dedicated bike lanes along both sides, providing mid-block crossings to allow people to be able to cross safely the road, and provide high visibility crosswalks to encourage more pedestrians. We come up with 3 different alternatives for the corridor. All of them provide 1 lane in each direction, turn lanes at the intersections. The first one also provides dedicated bike lanes on each side of the road and allow for a raised median in the center than the regular sidewalk. So again, sidewalk, bike lane on each side, 1 lane in each direction, and turn lanes on all the intersections. Sorry. The second one provides, again, 1 lane in each direction, turn lane at the intersections, bike lane on each side, but this one provides a landscape buffer between the bike lane and the sidewalk. And the third one, again, 1 lane each direction, turn lanes, bike lane, and a wider sidewalk, which is about 10-foot sidewalk. We also, again, want to recommend providing high visibility crosswalk in all the locations along the corridor. And I think it's very important to provide at least 1 mid-block crossing on the corridor. That's only provide mobility for pedestrians. Also, people that ride the bus will be able to get off at any location and cross the street safely. And that's all I have. This study is still under study, so we haven't finished that one. We just wanted to get your opinion, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Questions and comments from the council, you guys?
And may I also, Mayor Nickerson?
Oh,
me.
yes, yeah.
So Mr. Espinosa presented 3 options or opportunities for us for our Northeast 2nd Avenue corridor. As you know, we have some development that is coming. The Village Plaza is coming very soon. Those plans have been submitted. I mean, they're under review from planning, zoning, as well as the building department. But as we prepare for that, this is a very timely. So we would like to, I mean, I don't know how we want to do it. We want to get a decision to Juan, because I think that will be a part of finalizing this report to the county, so that we can then apply for whatever opportunities we have from them to do this road diet. But I would like for you all to just take a moment, think about it. You can reach out to me and give me your ideas or thoughts on which of the 3 were provided, and I will be providing you the mobility study as well as the traffic studies under separate heading.
Does everybody remember the three going? You want to show the three again?
Sure.
I mean, personally, I like vegetation, so I think, I think with some,
So, I mean, the main difference are, so all of them have one lane in each direction, turn lane, and the dedicated bike lane. The difference are whether you want a center median, which would be around 5 foot. Sorry, that's that one. Whether you want landscape on the side of the road. Sorry.
In the center median.
Or you just want just a wider sidewalk. So those are the three options.
No, my option is no wider sidewalk. We need some greenery in El Portal, especially along that corridor. So I'm down to the other two options, and I think the center medium might be the one. Like it looks beautiful as you're driving through. You have that center medium, and you have the vegetation in the center. Would be my suggestion, but
No, let me ask. Because on the meeting that we had with the Miami Transit, the meeting that we had, we're discussing about having a parking on Northeast Second, a side parking on the road.
On-street parking.
On-street parking to reduce, the amount of lanes and also.
So that could be an option. I mean, we didn't provided that option
All right.
because, I mean, being more residential, and, I mean,
The
that's why
bike
they have
lane
it
and
south of
okay.
here, which they provide their on-street parking. Without this being more residential, I don't know if you have a need for parking or not, but we didn't think so.
Because that area is commercial. Northeast Second. So I think it'll be wiser to have actually on-street parking, and that will reduce the amount of lanes anyway. And, and we can have the medium.
Well, I mean, if you put the parking, then there's not enough room to provide for the median.
Yeah, because we were saying that Manager Lou and myself, we've been working for about 6-8 months on the painted crosswalks. So so we're looking into like the painted crosswalks to where we can, because you have painted crosswalks, they might be painted like green or blue. I don't know if you guys have seen that before, and it lends to a lot of like traffic calming effect. It sounds. I encourage you all to go look them up, painted crosswalks, because when I explain it, it sounds like it might look like cheesy, or it sounds like it might look like just not visually accepting. But if you go look at it and look at how it's done, particularly on the West Coast, you'll see how they look, and you'll see how it lends to traffic calming and things like that. So we were looking into to painted sidewalks. When we were looking at painted sidewalks, they gave us that option. We're talking about Miami-Dade County now, and they said that they actually told us before they gave us the option, and then they kind of decided for us, Madam Manager, if you remember, and told us no to the bike lanes. If you remember that, they told us no to the bike lanes when we were talking to the county, because they were talking about the business corridor, and they were talking about that aspect of traffic and the speed and things like that. This is a good study, I think, what we're looking at now. And, I think that's something that we just have to really also consider, being that it's Northeast Second, it's the business corridor.
Right.
And do we want bike lanes there on that street or not?
Let me ask also, Mr. Espinosa, are there bike lanes to the south of us
Yes.
in Miami? Yes. So.
Yeah. So that one has bike lanes
Yeah, that's a
and
bike
parking.
lane. Okay, and parking.
Correct.
Perhaps.
And it would be ideal to be able to continue biking across the river and continue the biking. I mean, the parking can be provided on one side, and you still, but you will lose the median. So it will look basically what you have just south of here, which is parking, dedicated bike lane, and one lane each direction.
Do you want to follow that from Miami Shores all the way to here? It will look kind of like one.
Yeah, it will look the same. There'll be the continuity, but we won't have the median, so that's the green that we may have to give up.
Yes.
But, okay, well, sir, maybe you can give us a schematic that would just
Sure.
do bike lanes as well as the parking?
Mr. Mayor, I know you'll be shocked. I've got 2 cents to throw in.
No, you're good. Let me just say one thing, Councilman Romero, before you say something. Yeah, I think it's something that we should really think about, because although it will be a continuation from Miami Shores or from City of Miami as you drive down towards like 82nd and 79th, you kind of see how it looks. I think that it's always been a beautiful thing when you hit El Portal. You know what I mean? So I kind of like when you know when you hit those blue street signs, you hit the trees, and you hit when you hit El Portal. And I think there's just something else that will actually lend to that. You hit El Portal, and we're more tranquil, and we're more serene, and we're more like kind of relaxing and things like that when you hit us. So I think that's something we should keep in mind. Councilperson Urban.
All right, I'll start my timer here, and I'll keep it brief. Okay, I got the nickname The Driver when I was 16. I've driven across this continent several times. I have more than 8 years on my resume where my job in Miami-Dade County was, Tri-County, 4 counties, Palm Beach to Key West, Sarasota, Naples. Didn't mess with Orlando too much, but I've logged more miles in Miami-Dade County than most people who've lived here for perhaps 50 years. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I'm very genuine when I say that. So this specific stretch of road that we're talking about, Northeast 2nd Avenue, from Miami Shores boundary to the canal, right? It's actually an incredibly unique piece of road. It's a throughway. It's a major throughway. You've got 2nd Avenue, you got Miami Avenue. Next, you have to cross past I-95 and get to 7th Avenue. And then beyond that, you're into the West Avenues, right? And the only option east of 2nd Avenue is Biscayne. There's 3 avenues east of I-95 to shuffle all traffic that moves north and south twice a day, right? So my concern with the raised median in the middle is that it's going to create a possibility where traffic needs to leave the street and can't, right? Those days where there's someone killed on 95 and all the traffic floods into these 2 avenues, right? Other emergency situations where cars or even emergency vehicles might need to turn around. So I would be reluctant to put a raised median on Northeast 2nd Avenue just for that reason. When we're talking about the bike lanes, this is the way I see it. This is how parking should work on Northeast 2nd Avenue to facilitate future commercial development. It should be a fluid lane. There might not be anything like that in the world yet, but maybe we invent it. A fluid lane. So we also have jitneys, okay? We have jitneys, we have buses, we have bikes, we have skateboards, we have pedestrians. Now we have hoverboards, right? We've got all of it. And so if we're going to create a situation where people can come and go and visit businesses on Northeast 2nd Avenue, which is the vision and the goal here, then perhaps fluid lanes on the outside where traffic is not allowed to park, but essentially is an extended loading drop-off zone, pickup and drop-off zone. So, you would have a jitney blocking the bike lane frequently. You would have a bus blocking the bike lane frequently. And then vehicles, if we did something like parking, now you're completely eliminating the space for use other than stationary static parking, right? So I would love to see something like a fluid lane with signage where people understand you can use this lane to traverse the area. If you're dropping off, great. If you're picking up, fine. If you're traveling through, even better, right? But there needs to be that accommodation. Because again, if you put a median raised in the middle, when that jitney stops, everybody stops. So there needs to be a consideration for, we do need to accommodate that traffic. Because if we create a situation where that traffic has nowhere to go, then we're going to get an increased level of cut through traffic through the neighborhood looking for the next way. And then everybody hits the canal and because people don't know the area, right? So there needs to be an accommodation for that heavy flow of traffic twice a day and account for the possibility that there could be something that would stop a lane, and there needs to be alternatives. So in 3 minutes and 32 seconds, there you go.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Overbob. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I do have a question. If I'm getting this correctly, the safest option for pedestrians would be that center median. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, all of them will reduce the width of the road, so it will be safer. That will provide a refuge when you're crossing, so you will be able to stop at the median, and then continue crossing. So it provides, and always when you have a raised median, the road is always safer. People drive lower because you have something that, you have a barrier next to you, so it reduces the speed of the road. So it's always safer for pedestrians.
I think that's important to know because, I understand the plans that we have for Northeast 2nd, but I also know currently what it's being used for, and there's a lot of moms traversing that area, and I think it's important to try to make it as safe as possible for the people that are currently using it. And from what I understand, the projects that are coming online along that corridor, they've already accounted for parking, correct? Like they have, exactly, they have contemplated this, and there are also requirements set forth with how much parking they're able to, they must provide based on what they are building and what that usage is. So I do think that parking is important, but definitely my primary concern would be the safest possible experience along that corridor.
And you make a good point. I mean, when you have parking, that make it more unsafe for pedestrians, especially
sure.
kids.
I can
They're
imagine.
behind cars, parked cars, and they cannot be seen while they're crossing the street. So it provides an impediment for pedestrians.
Okay.
And there's bicyclists, because people try to open the door when they're parked and there's a bicycle coming. And
Exactly.
so there's a lot of conflict with
all-
on-street parking.
All bad complications, but I do tend to, I see all the points, but I do tend to lead to this iteration of it with that center median.
And then she is right about the median, though, providing, because then you don't have to cross the full distance in one shot. So you can wait for traffic on the near side to clear, make it halfway, and then wait to get it. So I definitely acknowledge that that is a significant
I mean,
benefit
and the
to
median is
pedestrian
not
traffic.
continuous, so
Sure.
all the intersection will be open,
Yep.
so you can still turn. So.
Yep.
And don't forget that we have a lot of kids crossing the streets from the school.
Yes.
I was I was very surprised when I saw that mainly on 88 or 87, right? Yes. So definitely something that will provide more, that will be safer for pedestrians. Will be great.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I like your report, okay? It deals with the two very difficult streets. However, I just happen to live behind Horseman Middle School. You said in your report, if the calculated 85th percentile speed is between 29 miles per hour and 33 miles per hour, a supplemental investigation needs to be conducted before recommendation is made. That street, 3rd Avenue, is very dangerous. That street is a racetrack every morning. So how do you know, Doc? I live off that street. I live right on 3rd Avenue. I hear and I know what it is, how difficult it is to cross the streets that we're talking about. And I appreciate you putting in there, a recommendation will be made, investigation needs to be conducted before recommendation is made. I would hate to see a problem, a death. That street is extremely dangerous. Going to work, I mean, these cars I'm retired. They're going in there like am I right or wrong? They're going through that street as though it's a runway every morning. The police is to be commended. I asked them to stand guard right outside of Horseman Middle School, and they were there. And then they're called away. Don't you know the drivers know when the police are not there? That's a dangerous street, and my house is not gated. My house is part of the roadway. And I'm very concerned because that's the back of the school. That is the very back of Horseman Middle School. That's a dangerous street right now. Am I right or wrong? That's a very dangerous street. I appreciate that, but I had hoped that that percentile would justify why we need attention within the residential, not just the business. I'm all for what you just did.
Yeah.
But the residential part was seemingly taken for granted, especially that street. Keep that in mind for me, would you please, sweetheart?
I would.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the audience residents? Come on up.
Thank you. Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. I have a question. Will there be a crosswalk at 85th across 2nd Avenue? And also, was a roundabout explored as there's no stoplight there?
That wasn't part of the study, and sorry. So the mid-block crossing, the county which regulate the crossings, they have to be separated from one another by 300 or 600 feet, depending on the roadway. So because the signalized intersection already have a crosswalk, you cannot have one in the immediate block. So we try to put one between, you can cross at the signalized intersection, put a mid-block, maybe between 89 and 90, to provide an additional crosswalk on the road.
Okay,
so you cannot put one in every
You do know
block.
that people are constantly crossing there because they want to cut across and walk on 85th and 86th Street.
I understand.
Okay, but
it's
we're
just
not
it's
able to
a
mitigate
county
that.
it's a county
Okay.
requirement. It's just based on the spacing of the crosswalk. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can try, but they probably would not accept it. They will expect people to walk to the signalized intersection and then cross, which I know people don't do, but those are the rules.
And the possibility of a roundabout, how does that get explored?
That has to be analyzed. I mean, is at the location in
85th and 2nd Avenue?
Okay, so there's a process. The county has a process to provide roundabouts. It's part of the traffic calming. The city will have to apply. You have to do the study. Then the neighbors, all 4 neighbors around the corner, have to agree. They have to be a vote, so they have to agree on having that roundabout there. But it's a possibility. It just have to be presented to the county.
And that's the same for a business district? The businesses need to agree,
Obviously,
or is
Second
that?
Avenue, where I qualify, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pullen. That's a good idea to look into a roundabout there. We'll look into it. We have one going up by Horace Mann, so we know the process. So, yeah. And Northwest Second, we have one going up over there. Any questions or comments from the residents' audience? You guys good? Any last questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Madam Clerk. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution H4? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Perella. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call for Resolution H4?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Oh, yes.
Councilperson Ervon.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella. Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
I love this council. People have been asking for traffic calming
Thank
for
you.
so long. Like, all right, y'all, here we go. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Resolution H5, you
Item
guys.
H5 regarding building exterior painting, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, Florida, providing for the exterior painting of the Village Hall property for the Village of El Portal, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Manager Lou, this is you.
Okay, thank you. As the village is changing, we're out here doing our very best to get a lot of these projects off the ground and improve the environment for the residents as well as the workers. The Village Hall, we have painted here and there, and we've done some light renovations to the best of our abilities, but we feel like at this time it's really time to paint the exterior. It hasn't been painted in the 7 years that I've been here, and it was pretty old even then. We want to take down awnings and make it just a nicer place for residents and for workers, and we believe that just painting the exterior will kind of put a refreshed look in this time. So we ask that you consider the painting of the Village Hall exterior. Our Public Works Director is here, and he has explored these proposals with the Public Works Coordinator, and we offer them to you, and we hope that you will accept.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I don't think the city manager has to apologize for anything. She's right. I just wonder what color it's going to be. That's all.
Purple and green stripes, I think.
I do have a question.
He is silly.
Just gray and a light gray as an accent.
While we're passing around color palettes, is there any other questions or comments?
I have one. I saw that in the documents, we're suggesting or recommending FCL. Is that correct? Is that the recommendation?
Yes.
And I noticed that their quote is about 2,000 more than ETAFA or PITU, and it appears as though they are providing the same services. I guess I'm wondering what justifies the additional $2,000 spend.
Yeah, Carlos.
Say your name and address.
What's that?
Say your name and address.
Oh, Mohan Thampi, Public Works Director for El Portal. And address? Here, El Portal. and Coral Gables. 500 Northeast 87th Street. Okay. Yeah. It does look like it's the highest price, but Carlos Aguera, who is our public works coordinator, obtained this quotes, and he just left for the Miami Heat game. So that's why he's not here, and I'll answer the question. But he gave you a table, and the table, two of them did not include materials, and then that threw out somebody about the 4,000 and the 8,900.
Yeah, but also two of them appear to provide the same exact thing that.
They didn't provide the paperwork. Only FCL Construction Group provided the insurance proof and the license. And from our experience, we prefer to go with the company which had provided documented license and insurance, because some of the vendors we have been getting, when you hire them and then you find out that they're licensed with somebody else, and and in this case they provided the.
No, I definitely understand that. Could you just point me to where I would see that? Because it seems as though it's saying everything is included, but I admit I could be missing something. Where is it on this matrix that they didn't provide?
It's at the bottom. Carlos wrote, I recommend using FCL Construction Group. They included all materials and send me the insurance proof and license. So when he requested it, they send it, and I guess he didn't get it from the other two guys.
So this is the second time this has happened to us, and I mean, I know that you don't know because Carlos is, at the Heat game, but this is the second time that we've received a document that shows a large number of people responding to a quote. However, then it's dwindled down to just one person that provides all the necessary information, and that is always our highest quote. And it's just really hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that there's only one person that can paint Village Hall, and it would have to be at a price that's $2,000 above what appears to be where everyone else is falling. So that's just an undesirable situation that we find ourselves in now, but it's the second time that we've done it. And I don't know what we can do on that end to just make sure that we are definitely taking a look at everyone or more than one company when we're considering expending city funds. I guess that's a comment for the manager.
Well, as I've explained this to our Public Works Director and Public Works Coordinator, the same frustration. I think the issue is I believe Mr. Aguera has had some trouble receiving proposals and quotes. Mm-hmm. So by the time he gets them, I mean, it takes us quite a bit of time to get these proposals from him. So once he gets them, they're incomplete. We go back, can you please get them to do that? So there's a lot of back and forth with this. And Mr. Thampi has attempted to work on this, as well as the bathroom quotes with him, as well as our building official. Sometimes the quotes come in as they are written, and they may not have anything on them. So then we have to go back. Please, add this. Please consider this. And then you're waiting for them to respond. Some don't, or you don't hear back from them. So he's giving us what he's receiving, but we're also requiring that materials be included, certifications or licenses, those kinds of things, and most of them don't provide that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just wonder how wide his net is. I can get that when it comes to like something like building a tot lot bathroom. When it comes to exterior painting, I imagine that there are a large number of people that are licensed and also qualified to engage in this activity.
Absolutely.
And the whole point of competitive bidding requirements or us going and finding different quotes is to make sure that not only are we getting the best possible price, but we're making sure that we are making ourselves aware of and available for business with persons who may have not historically had an opportunity to contract and do business with the city. So I just want to make sure, because this, of course, could just be coincidental, but also this could be, I don't know, a pattern of action that I wouldn't be pleased with. I would love to see more than one responsive bid and pricing that is somewhat within the same area so that we can compare apples to apples. At this point, it just seems like we are always just kind of being presented with one option, and that option is always the highest bidder, and that's problematic.
Yeah, I'll make a suggestion that we have our legal requirements. Like, you know, when you purchase something, you say that when you make the quote, you need to submit these documents along with the quote. So if we prepare something like that, you know, the village's requirements.
Yeah, I've reviewed our procurement code last time, especially because of what happened in the last meeting. So I had the manager send me the procurement code. I reviewed it. I do think that there are certain things that we can do to tweak that procurement code to just make it do a little bit more of what I envisioned this being. But I do want to just state my issue with this on the record.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to also add, even with my frustration, I contacted Angie's List directly. Angie, you know, this is the thing. And because I said, listen, this shouldn't take, it has taken actually a year to get these quotes to you today, a year. And so for various reasons, I think a large part of it is the coordinator. But I said, finally, I'm going to Angie's, you sit here with me and we'll discuss what we want, we'll put it in the request, and then we will start getting quotes. And we did. And we had people come out, they looked at the place, they, you know, asked for floor, you know, the layout and those things. And so all of that is then provided, and then they're to provide the quotes. And we got 2. We needed 3. So then he went out and found some more, you know, so that this was the process for getting these quotes, and sadly, it came to this. So to run an RFP for something like this size is not the most equitable thing. RFPs are time-consuming, and they are costly because of the advertisement. So we do have the option of doing a request for proposals, which is more of on a lower level of project, such as painting, that we're able to just obtain 3 quotes. And so that's the way we went with this as well. I just didn't realize that it would be so difficult for our coordinator to execute.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the explanation. I also think we need to look at whether or not it's difficult, our coordinator, or just difficult. So look into that and see whether or not, you know, there is another way to do this thing. That might be a useful thing for us. But that's the end of my comments.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mr. Mayor, I'm kind of with the manager on this one. I love my colleague when she asks the right questions, because she's going to get the right answers no matter. Seems to me that when you ask for quotes, I'm going on my experience sitting where you're sitting now, that they have to send you what you asked for. When the deadline is missed, that's the end of it. If they fail to send what you need, you have only what you have to go with. That's what we've been dealing with, yes? Do you ever see in your research where these companies who are seemingly derelict in providing you with what we need to have, if they're deliberately chasing us or because we're so little, they don't think that we're paying attention. Because I'm kind of with my colleague here. I want to see what they bidded. I want to know that they've been certified. I want to know that they're keeping up their license. And if they're not going to tell us that. You know that, right, colleague? They're not going to tell us that. Mm-hmm. But how do we know that we've done it, a collective bid? Because it could work in the other way, too. They could come back and say, we're going to sue you because you didn't put us in the bid. You didn't send us all the information we asked you for. And so now you're in a rock and a hard place 1 year later. Is there a remedy, Mr. Attorney?
For relatively small amounts like this, we're not required to advertise and put it out to the entire world. For a big project, yes, you always do that. On these relatively small amounts, we're permitted to solicit bids by picking some people that we feel are qualified and inviting them to submit qualifying bids to us. It is a less rigorous process than doing an RFP or an RFQ for professional services or something like that. So, you know, in a lot of cities, the manager's authority is $20,000, $25,000, something like that, and these wouldn't even necessarily come before the council. We're a small town, so our numbers are lower and we're more sensitive to price. We invite somebody to solicit the information if they're qualified. I mean, for instance, if they have a license and they don't send us the license information, they can't really turn around and come after us and say, oh, well, you didn't ask us for our license, because if you're in that business, you need to know, you need the license, you need to send it to us. So I understand that this recommendation was not for the lowest number, but to depart from the lowest number, there needs to be a reason. But when a reason is given by the recommender, by the reviewer for the village, and they state the reason, it's as much art as science. I mean, I think if I remember from my reading of it, the difference was like $2,000. So it's just, I mean, if we were dealing with a large item and it was, you know, $200,000, that would be very, very important. But we have to take into account the scale here. And I think one was like 8,000 and one was 10. So if the reviewer recommends that we prefer to see us go with the 10 because they're more reliable or more professional. I think the comment was, because I read these things, the website looked much better and gave much more information. For $2,000, it doesn't mean we have to do it, but it's enough to bring a recommendation to you so you can have the discussion you're having now. So no, I don't think they can turn around and sue us when we invited them if they didn't provide information that they should know that we're going to want to see. When you're putting your proposal in, you put your best foot forward, and if you do not, that's kind of your bad, and then you fail to persuade us. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Yes. Okay. So as we look at these proposals, Mohan, so FATA Construction and FCL, they are the two proposals. All right, just quickly. I am not a commercial painter, although I did work for one for several years. And prepping, paint serves a function. There's a very exact reason you put paint on things, and it's to protect it. It's the only function of paint. And then because you have to look at it all the time, let's make it look nice, right? But paint is a tool. And so for paint to work as a tool, the preparation is really all the entire paint job of painting is prepping everything. And the way that these two companies describe prepping are the only two companies out of the four. The other two are woefully inadequate in terms of describing what they're going to do to prep the services. So between FATA and the company FCL, who only had those are the only two who, they are the most expensive, but they're the only two who listed adequately that they understand that prep is the whole job and that paint is the last thing you do, and great, but prepping is the job. So between those two companies, what stood out to you for FCL versus FATA Construction, if you would even?
I'm going to stick my nose in the head of Mr. Thampi. I also think there was a discussion in there about replacing some rotted soffit.
Okay, right.
And the recommended company specifically said that was included, and I
Right.
believe the number 2
Yeah.
excluded the soffit, and when you start talking about woodwork, that could be pretty expensive. So my understanding from reading through, because, anytime there's a recommendation that's not the low bid, you need to see why. But the explanation from the gentleman who was the reviewer focused on that, and, that could easily be more than the $2,000 difference when you start getting into woodwork, because it's not just buying the wood, it's making sure it's properly done and properly installed. And he highlighted that as a reason to go with the slightly higher bid, because that is a potentially expensive item that was included there and excluded in the number 2.
Yes, it's shown in the table.
Yeah.
He mentions it, line 10.
Yeah.
Soffit, damaged, rotten soffit was not included by the $8,900 proposal.
Okay.
And also, it goes, is more specific and saying about, what you said, prepping is the key to a good job. And they also go by saying that they will repair any stucco or any holes that needed to be patched, where the other one says small patches, and stuff like that. And also window framings. The other ones don't include window framings.
Which is where leaks are happening.
So it is, yes.
Yeah.
And actually painting, I don't know if you guys know, but now part of the recertification.
Yeah,
and commercial
absolutely.
buildings, painting is one of the
Absolutely.
requirements now.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
I-beams, everything. Yeah, absolutely.
I just have one final comment because I feel like I'm the one who opened this can of worms. I'm really not talking about soffits or windows or anything like that. That's not my issue. Like, if they have insurance, kudos, that's better. If they can do some soffits and some window work and all that other good stuff that I'm sure we all know about painting, that's great. My issue is with the lack of options. If there is a company that can do all of those things and all of those things we need, I'm imagining that there must be another company that also does all of those things that we need, and it would be good to compare the pricing of those two. So it's just the lack of options, and also it's the frequency within which this happened that gives me pause, because I don't know. I can just envision or imagine a world where someone just solicits bids from the same person all the time. And in my opinion, I don't think that's very fair, and it doesn't provide a real access point for new companies and new businesses to do business with the city and grow their profile. $10,000 is a small amount when we think about this budget for the city, but I think a large amount for a small business. And if you can save $2,000 here or there, I think it's a good thing to do. So I don't think that they're not qualified. My position is not that we shouldn't go with them. My position is that we should my position is not that we should put out an RFP and incur those additional expenses. My position is that we should streamline and make sure that we have real access points for small businesses to do business with the Village of El Portal and be able to grow. 'Tis the American dream. And number two, I want to make sure that we aren't just going back to the same exact well all the time. And we are definitely bargaining for the amount that we're spending, because it's not our money. So that's my point. But we can call for a vote anytime you guys want to.
Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the audience? Come on up. Name and address for the record.
Tom Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. Two questions about the procurement process. The first one being, is it standard to get like references and actually talk to past customers? Is the one being suggested highly referred? And my follow-up question is, when we are in situations where, you know, there's one recommended and it's over the price, like where do we negotiate? Are we looking at the median price or other prices for the exact same job and offering it to that company if they can match? Like, how are we actually leveraging all the information that we're gathering and all the time and energy and resources that's put into that, including the salaries for the folks who are, you know, generating those quotes for us? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pulliam. I don't know, Madam Manager or Mohan.
Yeah, I think he answered your first question. And the fact is, when we get a quote, a description of the work is given to them. And like, it is not like a regular RFP, but and then they submit the quotes. And then we look at the prices. But unless everyone missed everything out, you know, and it's something is so glaring, we may ask someone that why is their price, you know, of this amount, or why did they miss it out? But that does take place. And when it comes to
Sorry, I was asking about references. So
we do, yes, we do
Okay.
check. Actually, according to Carlos, all of them have been doing painting, and he has seen, you know, their work. And the fact is, why FCL, who had the highest quote, was because they included materials which others, you know, left out, or their price, and then they didn't provide the license when they were asked to, and the insurance.
Okay, so references were checked, great. And then is there a negotiation process, or you just go with what they bid?
Yeah, and there'll only be a negotiation if, you know, if there's a reason to do it. If something was left out. and we think that, you know, but in...
So not to get the best price for
yeah,
the
but then,
taxpayers.
you know, we are not, when you get quotes, you're getting from qualified people. Where if you start haggling, and we are not going to get anything done. Because, let's negotiate. I mean, if you negotiate, why did you negotiate with one person? I mean, I could keep negotiating.
So it's never attempted? I'm just trying to get information.
We do. If everybody missed out something, or we will ask them, or if there's something which missed out, or we think, or we left out, we say, okay, what if we add this? And what are your prices? Everyone will be given the same shot. But here they were given a proposal and a description of the work, and they gave us a price, and after they gave us the price, we asked for the licenses, we asked for the insurance, and then we looked at it and made a recommendation, and so Carlos looked at it and then made a table and had me look at it, you know, and then of course we also had our legal also look at it. And
Yeah, I'm just asking about the business process. So is that like a council person thing you guys would recommend if you wanted to negotiate the price, or we just always run with the top price?
There's just never really a negotiation process in government contracts. It's the government, so whatever the entity is putting out. It doesn't have to be officially termed an RFP, but they're putting out a request, right? And so scope of work is there, and then the companies, just as the attorney said, put their best foot forward. So a company takes the scope of work, establishes what their cost is for them to do that, establishes what their business model says their profit should be on top of that, and now you got a quote. and they put it in
Understand.
against the other, that's the way.
All I'm asking is, do
never
we as a village ever try to negotiate the prices, get better deals,
Yes.
play them off of each
The
other?
answer is yes.
Okay.
Well,
we
And
do that all the
And in
time.
this specific case,
Well,
that's
in
not
this-
the recommendation because it's different?
To Councilperson Martin's point, the best way to accomplish that is to get a wider range of options.
Yeah.
So this is her point exactly, is how to accomplish what your question is, how do we negotiate better? In this format, the way to negotiate better is exactly as she's saying, we need more options.
But weren't there 4 or 5 options provided?
Well, what he's saying is if you want to negotiate with the one person you've chosen, why are you not negotiating with all 4? So now you start negotiating with all 4, and, you know, it's...
You don't need to negotiate with all 4?
Until the other 3 sue you for negotiating with one and not the others. And then you do need to negotiate with all 4. So in terms of that reality of fair play, again,
Well,
to
that's a possibility,
again to
too.
Councilperson Martin.
I'm just trying to offer some solutions
Yeah.
because I'm hearing that the procurement process, you know, really is not going satisfactory for anybody, and there's a lot of time and energy going into it. So I'm just trying to understand what is the process, what is the steps that our elected representatives and staff take in order to best utilize the tax funds.
Well, the
And
bigger
so what I'm
cities-
taking away is that negotiations can and sometimes do happen when there's multiple bids received, when they have all the licenses and everything together. That's what I'm taking away.
You're talking about setting up a purchasing department, which the bigger cities and all, because of the quantity of work they do. And remember, El Portal is basically the smallest city, so.
So we have less
yeah.
negotiating power, is what I understand.
You don't, right now I can tell you, a lot of cities are having problems getting quotes for work. It's not just El Portal.
I'm not asking about quotes, I'm just asking about the process of actually distributing the funds for that are the tax funds and budget allocated and all of that.
Okay, let me put us back down on earth for a second. So just in the past month, my wife and I have repainted a single-family home in the Midwest for about $4,000. There is still, just for little pieces of wood rot around like 8 spots, there's still $3,000 to $4,000 worth of woodwork that needs to be done, and then touch up on the paint coming in after that, right? That's on a single-family residence in the Midwest. So I just want to establish, firstly, that between these 4 quotes, none of them are looking like highway robbery. Like I want to establish that as.
I think that's been established.
Okay, all right. So now that we're not dealing with highway robbery, what we're simply looking to do is find the most value for the cost, right? And so I hope that the best looking candidate is somewhere in the middle. That's always my hope. Oh God, I hope the best candidate is somewhere in the middle, right? And that will happen with enough options, is what's saying. So, but in terms of the procurement process, you know, first of all, in the largest cities where you have a purchasing department, that's where almost all of your corruption is taking place. That's where all your envelopes full of money go, is in those procurement departments, right? And so really our challenge is that we're small. Our challenge is just trying to get enough people interested to do the bids. So, you know, keep going back to Councilperson Martin's point, you know, if we are able to focus on that aspect of it, how do we get more bids? How do we get the word out more efficiently? How do we, information sheet on what they might need to provide could help. Those pieces, that sounds like the overwhelming consensus, as Councilperson Martin outlined, is to find a way to have more options. But as far as just straight up negotiating with somebody that we see on a bid, it's just not how it's possible. That is kind of off the table, except for extreme circumstances or where the bid has to be redone, is kind of what he's saying. So outside of that, we simply need more options. Councilperson Martin certainly let us know very clearly that that is the case tonight, and it sounds like through your question, that's what we've arrived at as well.
May I just add to that there are, yes, we do negotiate quite often. We are actually in the process. In fact, one of the items was pulled from tonight's agenda because we're still in the process of negotiating it. So it does happen. But as stated earlier, we're small, so we don't get the responses that we want. And we're at a standpoint where we've gotten one proposal for a very important project, and so that's what holds up a lot of things. So we do negotiate when possible and where possible, and we're also looking for best prices, but we don't get the responses as we should. That's why it's taken a year for us to get to just this.
Yeah, understood, and I appreciate hearing that negotiation does take place, and that's possible, and we use that as a tool to, be responsible with our funding here. So thank you for the information.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the audience, residents? You guys good? Back to the council. Any questions or comments from the council before I ask for a motion? All right, hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution H5, building exterior painting? Move approval from Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Councilperson Erbaum. Madam Clerk, for Resolution H5, building exterior painting, may I please have a roll call?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Next is
H6.
Resolution H6.
H6 on the Tot Lot Park restroom. A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal of Miami-Dade County, Florida, providing for an ADA-compliant restroom for the Tot Lot Park of the Village of El Portal of Miami-Dade County, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. This was moved from last month's meeting with some of the same questions that existed from the last item. Madam Manager, if you want to jump in.
Yes, thank you. I do recall Councilperson Martin and the Vice Mayor had a couple of questions. We addressed those offline with them and the Public Works Director. If anyone else has any further questions, or if you would like to talk about those responses, we can certainly do that now.
Do I have any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, do I have any questions or comments from the audience, residents, visitors? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution H6? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Erbaum. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call for H6, Tot Lot Restroom?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Madam Manager, your report, you're up.
Mr. Mayor, did we do 7?
We've removed 7.
Huh?
Thank you.
Negotiations.
No. Okay, thank you, Mayor and Village Council. Are we ready now for the, okay. I'm going to keep my manager's report short. It is a 9-pager, so it's actually kind of short considering other months that have passed. But we have good news all the way around, so I'm happy to report. Mayor Nickerson and I met with our legislative team and members of the Appropriations Administrative staff to discuss Village Hall renovations project. That is the one project that has lasted through our legislative session, and that was the good news that we're excited about. That we're still in the game to get the funding necessary to expand the Village Hall so that we can do some renovations, much needed renovations. Police Chief Mendez wrote a supporting letter to Governor Ron DeSantis explaining the need to separate the police department from the administrative staff. And you know, because public safety and police work really is so sensitive that it has been trying and troubling for everyone involved to you know, work in the same spaces. But we are awaiting response now, and fingers are crossed. Our legislative team will be requesting to meet with you in our upcoming council meeting to just give you some information on the funding opportunities that happen this, or not funding opportunity, well, that funding opportunity, but also just what happened in the legislative session and what came out of short-term vacation rental and a lot of the hot topics that, you know, were considered this season. And I know that our own village attorney is very much aware of all of these things as well. So we'll be hearing about that and preparing for fall session very soon. I will tell you that we are still on par, or I shouldn't say still on par, we're back in the game for getting our reimbursement, our appeal from FEMA and FDM, and we're talking every, no, not just yet. Just listen. We are in the appeal process still, but at least we've got names from FDM, who people we can speak with. You know, there's been so much turnover that we haven't been able to get any traction for several months, almost a year now. And so we're back in, we're getting phone calls back and requests for more information. So we've gotten through federal level. Now we're going through the state, and I hope to have the information. The mayor and I have been in these meetings talking, begging, pleading, you know, getting things accomplished to get funding back. And we were actually informed today that there's some money, a little bit, about $100,000 coming in the next day or so. So that's a great start, and we're expecting more money coming in the next couple of weeks.
We're keeping everything.
Yeah, we're just going to keep it on the down.
Chill. We got some great news, but for right now, we just keeping it
keeping
chill.
it, yeah. State. We're just going to keep it chill for now. Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. I'm going to go on to. The village now has a new landscaping and tree services contractor. It's called Green Dreams Paradise Company. I mean, that's a mouthful, but they seem to be really good and responsive and energized, and they're a small business as well that are really happy to have our business. And we will be sending Orchid Man on to greener pastures for them. They will conclude their work with us on June 30th. But in the meantime, Green Dreams Paradise Company will be doing our tree trimming for hurricane safety, you know, as we do annually. And they're conducting the trimming June 12th, 13th, and 14th. And they'll be mulching as they go, so we won't even have to worry about bulk pickup. So that is a boon for us. The sanctuary property is now Village Plaza. That's the name of the project. And the project is ongoing with permits and plans having been submitted this month to planning, zoning, and the building department. So soon, I'm hopeful that we'll be seeing something go public with this project. But as we've expressed before, they're expecting to run a privately planned sewer conversion at that property, and they will be tying into Miami Shores Northeast 96th Street pump station. So that will bring a lot of energy and business to Northeast 2nd Avenue. So that's exciting. And we did hear tonight about our road diet and mobility study, as well as the lowering of the speed limit. I can't believe it. We made it, because this has been about 4 years that we've been begging the county. But I think that mobility study that you all approved, or not mobility, I'm sorry, the traffic study that you all approved for the vendor of David A. Plummer and Associates to conduct, that made the difference. You know, we went about it through the county. We, you know, dotted I's, crossed T's, but it really took us to get our own traffic study commissioned to get us where we want to be. And I'm hopeful that our residents will see, you know, see the change very quickly. And we're going to conduct an education campaign to announce the whole 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, and our police will be, you know, conducting their educational campaign as well. The owners of the Cavista Project Development are planning a second development along the canal. It's called The Launch, and they too have submitted some plans that are being reviewed in planning and zoning as well, but soon that will be coming our way. So that's an excitement that will bring more energy to our annexed area. And we're happy to continue to work with Skatebird Miami, but you know, as a result of several months of complaints of noise, Mr. Strauss met with me and Code Enforcement Officer Simmons, and he's also met several times with Mayor Nickerson. We requested he do a sound mitigation plan to address his issues with the sound in his, venue. And he's been compliant. He wants to work with us, so he will be submitting something very soon, but he has explained it will be some kind of sound curtain that is retractable. So I think that will be a great remedy to help out Mr. Scott and the other people over there. But no, we have been listening. It's just also understanding this is Z4 or Z5. We have to allow that business, but our code doesn't address that level of a business at this point. So we'll address your issues. We will. Mayor Nickerson, Chief Mendez, Major Harrison, and I met today to review the hurricane and emergency preparedness plans for the village, as we do annually. We're the emergency management team, and we do a review of plans and vendors and opportunities just before the season, and then I conduct a training for staff on what to do and who goes where and who should we call. And as stated, we will be ordering sandbags and ordering more sand to fill for our residents, and just keeping the information waves open for our residents so that they are, aware as in real time or as close to real time as possible as we are, and that we're able to share information. But the Village of El Portal Police Department will receive 3 new exterior impact doors, 3 impact windows, a generator, and a new air conditioning unit from the HUD critical facilities grant that we received. That's $50,000. So we're looking forward to those improvements, but that will at least fortify the police department. And that was a painstaking grant that we had to prepare for, but we're now awaiting the notice to proceed, and we will do an RFP to get the contractors that are needed to do that work. So you will see a little bit of change in terms of the doors and the windows soon in the police department. Also, just speaking of police, the department completed 3-day certification training in active shooter. They actually had exercises of active shooter training. It was a fantastic thing to witness, believe me. Multi-agency active shooter drills were conducted at FIU North Campus, along with Miami-Dade Priority Response Team. And Officers Canella and Officer Padron completed a 40-hour certification training in tactical medical response with the City of Miami and Miami-Dade Police. And we are awaiting the arrival of baby Harrison. For Police Major Thomas Harrison's baby is due tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. So we'll have a new little face to welcome to El Portal this time tomorrow. We are onboarding our new zoning contractor. That's the Cordino Group, and you met them last month. And things are moving quickly. They were very good. We're just continuing with some onboarding and getting building department aligned with them presently. But you'll see more of them, especially at our upcoming planning and zoning meeting. And let's see. I think that is probably about enough. I will leave the rest for you to review on the village website, but I thank you for your time and thank you for the opportunity to continue to work for you.
All right, the mayor's report, you guys see it on your agenda. Everybody gets that. Everybody has my phone number. You guys have gotten my cards numerous times. Anybody have any questions about the mayor's report, you guys can contact me. All right, moving on to the attorney report.
Very briefly, we continue to negotiate with the FOP on a possible contract. We have a meeting scheduled with them tomorrow where they're going to present us their latest proposal, which we'll then analyze and respond to. The other item to comment on is the short-term rental. The House passed the bill during the past session. The Senate passed the bill during the past session. They were very similar, but they weren't identical, and somehow they did not manage to resolve their differences, although it looked like they would literally up until the last minute. But they didn't, so there's no new bill. I've been in touch with Attorney Keith Brady, who we've been talking about, and reported on that, and in consultation with the committee chair, Councilperson Martin, we have what we think is a workable strategy. We're reviewing some materials I received as recently as Sunday. There are, by the way, as the old Chinese proverb goes, there are many paths to reach one's destination. And we are looking at some paths that can provide us with some alternatives, which I think would meet some of the comments that were made tonight by various people. And that's consistent. So we're going to be moving forward both with some revisions to our existing STR ordinance and probably with some revisions to other ordinances as well. And I'll continue to work on that with the committee chair. And once we have something, we'll then begin to consult individually with other members of council with an eye towards hopefully having this on the agenda for the next council meeting. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. Before I go to good and welfare, any questions or comments from the council about anything? You guys good? Any questions or comments from the audience, residents about anything? You guys good? Good and welfare, you guys. Anybody can come up and talk for 3 minutes, say your name and address for the record. You can talk about anything at all. It doesn't have to be only on the agenda. Anything at all that's on your mind. Hearing, seeing none. Moving on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. The council meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 is adjourned at 9:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Great job, guys.